He changed the name to drop down.
Oh, cut me short. We got Dan now. We can see him. Right. Okay. It's been 2 weeks since we've been on. Lots to talk about World Cup wise, but we got the radio joining us again now. So we're live on the radio as well. So hello to everyone on the radio, as well as on Facebook, Twitter, and of course YouTube. Now you're blurry, mate. Get it. I know. Yeah.
I can't do nothing about it.
Wild chaps, lots to talk about. We're obviously going to talk about the World Cup. We're going to talk about England. I think the whole show is probably going to be a bit of a World Cup review. Anyway, first and foremost, Nigel, you're looking so Christmassy there. How you doing, fella?
Yeah, it seems ages, doesn't it, since we've been on the last show. But yeah, plenty to talk about on the show today. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, I am looking forward to today's show as well. So, Dan, you've got your no, you're out of focus. Oh. In and out.
I've got to sit still.
Camera out, man. How are you? And how you been, mate?
I'm good, mate. I haven't been on for probably about a month because I've been working and bits and pieces. So my can you hear me? Okay.
Sorry,
can you hear me,
Nigel? It sounds right. You're a bit quiet.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I haven't been on for about a month, so all my settings have gone up the spout. So
yeah, you haven't, have you?
I'm going in and out of focus a bit, but that's
in and out of focus. Yeah. Do you know what it is? You know what it is really. You've had too much alcohol, and even your camera's pissed off the fumes from your breath and zooming in and out on you, mate. Yeah, you're gonna have to sort this out before next week, son.
How dare you?
Yeah. Right, let's see who's joining us so far. Have we got any? No, I shouldn't have said that. No one's joined us yet. I'm struggling to share, but everyone share. Let everyone hear what we've got to say about the World Cup in Qatar. But we're definitely live. We're definitely there, but we're not connecting very well, I don't think. Right, let me see. I'm having a bit of problem with Facebook chaps. Are you?
I've shared it to our groups, mate. They're on there.
I can't even get on Facebook, mate.
You've been banned, have you? You've been naughty boy.
I don't know. Oh. I know it's not letting me on. It's not letting me on, mate. What is going on? Hang on. Right, okay. We'll share it as we go along anyway. We might pick up. I'd like to say welcome to everyone who's listening on the radio. How are you all? Woo! Hello. Right. This is Proper Football Live. And, well, England are out, chaps. So shall we talk about England first? Then what I would like to do is talk about the World Cup. We've been very vocal in our, shall we say, negativity. We've been a bit negative towards the World Cup. And now we're sort of coming to the end of it. Okay, England out. We'll talk about them next. But I'd like to, after that, really talk about the whole World Cup because I think I've learned a lot. I was very negative about it. And, yeah, I'm looking forward to having a discussion about your thoughts on the general World Cup and everything as well. So let's start with England. Chaps, let's, Nigel, start with you. England's performance in this World Cup, what do you think?
Well, when they started out, the first three games, I wasn't really I thought playing too slow. I wasn't really enjoying it so much, although, everyone's going to win's a win. But I can't fault my last night's performance. They look sharp, they look good. We had more chances. I think the referee was diabolical. Like the second penalty he gave. I mean, why did he have to go over to the screen? I mean, that's the most clear-cut penalty I've seen. But I do think it's time for Southgate to give somebody else a chance. Somebody put on the media today, how can we not win any cups in the last 3 competitions with the squad of players we got? He's done an okay job, Southgate, but I think now's the time maybe it's step down, let somebody else with new ideas come in. But well done to the lads for yesterday. They got nothing to feel bad about on that performance.
No, you're right. I think you're right. It wasn't a bad performance. I think maybe the penalty, maybe the second one, I felt maybe as soon as I see him go, he ain't going to get it. He ain't going to get it. Let someone else take it. But they played well. Obviously, I felt they played a lot of average sides building up to the French game. Senegal, yeah, okay. They said that's the biggest test, but that's still fairly average side. They played really well last night, England, and still couldn't do it. And why can't we beat these better sides? On paper, we should be able to, but we get through a lot of these competitions by playing average sides, and then you come up against someone half decent, and we just don't have that final bit, do we?
It's fine margins, isn't it? It's not. Last night, like Nigel said, I thought it's really hard to criticise England last night. We didn't do a lot wrong. Could have took our chances more. The ref was shocking, but what can you do about that? We still didn't have time to win the game, but it's fine margins. Maybe there is a mentality.
Is it fine margins, and every time we come up against a good side that we lose?
You need luck as well. I mean, I blame Southgate for the last 2 tournaments, but this tournament I can't blame him. I don't think he did a lot wrong. And the team, I can't pick out any players who were bad.
Good side, so do you see what I'm trying to say?
No.
But like I say, when we look at the last 2 tournaments, each route through, we played fairly average sides.
Yeah.
And then you play Croatia in the semi-final, who are a good side. Whatever you can say about Croatia, they're a good tournament side. And we lose. And you're right. Every time it's by fine margins, but I guess hopefully one day, I don't know whether in my lifetime we're ever going to get
competition. The more it comes down to fine margins, certain misses cost you games. That's what happened. So we was on top of them when Giroud scored to put them 2-1 in front. But I was discussing with Gary before he came on, Danny. We was on about whether Gareth Southgate had a plan B, how many different options he's looked at. A lot of people would have said I was quite happy with Kane to take the second penalty. Yes and no. But I mean, the only thing I was worried about was the fact that he was taking it against his teammate.
Yeah.
It's probably like, they're going to play mind games with each other. Now, given in mind that Tony's got the best penalty record in the Premier at Brentford, and he wasn't brought along in the squad, if Southgate would have had the bollocks to say to Harry, I'm putting Tony on, I'm going to take a player off, I want him to take the penalty, the second one. Harry Kane would have had to let him do it, but Harry Kane would have wanted that second penalty. I know Harry would have wanted it. But
he's a good penalty taker, isn't he? He dispatched the first one under pressure.
It comes down to managerial sort of like he's got to take charge really sometimes, and that was the plan B that I didn't think we had. You've got to take someone like Tony because that in these major competitions at some stage you're probably going to go to penalties.
Yeah.
And again, we haven't gone to penalties, but it's been a penalty that's put us out of the cup again.
Yeah. No. I think, like people said about this, I've been his biggest critic, Southgate, like many of us have on here, the last 2 tournaments. But this tournament, even at half time, I was watching it in a kebab house in Waterloo, the game, and the guy sitting next to me, and he said, "Oh, he's got to bring Grealish on." And this is about 50 minutes. I went, "Well, who for? Who's he?" And he went, "Oh, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Who could you have took off? No one was having a bad game."
Just to raise a comment by Alex Langley, he said Kane was the problem yesterday, not so much the missed penalty, but the fact that he didn't play in the penalty area.
He drops deep a lot. That's part of his game, I think. But I don't think he did a lot wrong, Kane. Then you got Saka filling the hole where he drops back. But I just thought, France were good. Griezmann was brilliant that first half. Mbappe, Walker done a job. I just think it was two good teams, fine margin, and we just come up short again. If Kane would have scored the penalty, I've no doubt we would have gone on and won that. Well, little doubt, but I just think it's close. It's fine margins, isn't it? There's nothing you can do about it. I just don't think we did a lot wrong. I wasn't upset with anyone that we went out in the end. I couldn't get annoyed at anyone. I couldn't target even Kane. It happens. You miss a penalty, didn't you? It's not.
Did you agree with the bringing on of Sterling?
Yeah, I mean that the one of the French defenders was a weak link, and maybe he could have targeted him early with Rashford. But it's all ifs, buts, and maybes, isn't it? Well, it's all like afterthoughts. But
there's a lot of things on social media going on about the fact they only bought Grealish on for 3 minutes and all that lot. Yeah, if you're going to bring a player on, you've got to give him a bit more time than that.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, but I can't remember one England game where Grealish has come on and actually turned it on its head.
No, he hasn't. He hasn't
done that for England at the moment. So I don't know why everyone's going on about he should have bought Grealish on, because he hasn't.
Would
he
you
hasn't been for us
Rashford earlier?
But we was playing in the ascendancy. We was the better team, and then Giroud got the goal. Just as he was going to change it, I think they scored the goal. So then I think he bought me out one. But then Harry Kane, we should have equalised with a penalty. So we didn't do a lot wrong. It was just, and I'm Southgate's biggest critic. I think you know that. I don't think he did a lot wrong. But
I can't remember how long was
2 incidents in the first half. Go back to 2 incidents in the first half. Saka was brought down. That should have been a foul.
Yeah.
All right, that's one major point that led to their goal. And the second one was the Kane penalties decision was turned down. And the referee didn't even want to go and have a look at the screen for that one. So,
no. He was a joke.
Yeah, did you not think that was outside the area? I mean, it was a foul. Definitely a foul.
Went and looked, did he?
But to me, it looked like it was outside the area.
And is it true with VAR, they check for a penalty, and if they didn't think it was a penalty, they obviously thought it was outside, but then they can't take it back for a free kick.
Yeah, that was said last night. You're right. So, yes, it was a foul deemed outside the area, which I thought it was outside the area as well.
But the ref...
they can't then take it back to foul. I heard that last night,
But the ref didn't want to make the decision. And then as Nigel said, he didn't make the decision about the penalty as well. He gives a Saka penalty. He didn't give the penalty a bit late. And I think a lot of refs are doing this. They're waiting. They're not making a decision and letting go into VAR for them to make the decision. And that ref last night, I'm not an excuse for England losing, but he was a diabolical ref. He was completely, he lost control of the game. It's completely useless.
I mean, we lost, but the 2 French goals were good goals. I mean, they're really good goals. I don't know. It's what it is. I just, what point did Rashford come on? I can't remember now. How long did he?
Very late.
Right at the end, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So I honestly thought maybe Rashford, going back to what Alex said on the comments there about, Kane not playing in the penalty area, maybe Rashford would have been the. I mean, he was on fire earlier on in that competition. I don't know. We can sit here all day and say ifs and buts. Southgate's paid £9 to get it right on the night. Did he get it right on the night?
You name me one manager in that tournament that was left out as top goal scorer. Rashford was the top goal scorer for England, wasn't he? Along with Saka.
For me, I don't. I think there could have been some better decisions made. I think this is only my personal opinion. I think something was. As soon as I see Kane going up for that second penalty, I just knew he was going to miss it. But that's what it is. But I just thought Rashford would have scared them more. It maybe even not having Kane on the field took him off for Rashford.
I don't think he was ever going to do that. I think Rashford looked poor in the first half against Wales, didn't he?
Why would he not do that though? Why? Just because it's Harry Kane?
Well, he's a captain and he's a much better player, all-round player than Rashford. I know he's got pace.
he didn't do what he was paid to do last night, did he?
No.
Score goals. He got a penalty. Fair enough. A penalty's a penalty, but he didn't. He's paid to score goals, isn't he?
Yeah,
He didn't, and he didn't even really. To be fair, he didn't even come that close. I think he had one shot. Yeah. I don't know. You know, at the end of the day, I don't know. Yeah, like you say, it's fine margins. I mean, you can't knock them for what they did, the effort. I just wondered whether some of the changes could have been done earlier. Who for? I don't know. All right, fair enough. It's hard to say, but then I ain't getting £9 million a year to sit and make that decision like Southgate. So
Southgate's been his biggest fault about not reacting to in-game situations in the World Cup and the last Euros. But this time, I just don't. Maybe he was a bit slow to react to target there on their right side at the back. That was their weak link, and he left it a bit late. But hang on, back to you guys.
Right, so
it's funny that the media were all before this match were saying Courtois was a weak link, and he saved everything and caught everything yesterday.
Yeah.
So, it comes back to bite you, doesn't it?
Yeah, look, you know, it's what it is. I think maybe expectations rose as it went on. I think they played the USA, and I think we all thought, here we go, back to normal. You know, a bit of a dull game. England didn't look very lively. Iran, you know, we should be hammering Iran. You can't odds that. But
I think Maguire was. Southgate took a lot of stick for picking Maguire, but I've always liked Maguire at Leicester and him for England. He hasn't done a lot wrong for England, and he was great. I thought in the World Cup, Maguire. I don't think there's anyone you can single out was a poor performer in the World Cup for us. There's just
Maguire played well, but the people are getting pissed off with Southgate is at the start of the season he said he was going to pick players that were on form for the teams, for the home teams, and he hasn't done that. He's picked a player that couldn't get in the Man United side. So he's contradicting himself. Harry Maguire's had a good World Cup. I'm not saying that against him because he has. Yeah. But, you can't come out with that, Gareth Southgate, at the start of the season, say I'm going to pick my squad on players that are on form for their own teams and then go against it. I mean, Sterling, he brought Sterling on us. Sterling's been back home and come back, and he's not exactly been on brilliant form for Chelsea. So, you wonder what some of his... Is he loyal to the players that he's had for the last 3 tournaments? Does he not want to make changes? I don't know. There's just something about Southgate. He sits on the safe seat most of the time.
Yeah. I thought Henderson was... I think their midfield worked this time, though. That Rice, Bellingham and Henderson, that was a good combination. It worked well. And I think going forward, and then I know we've always got that, but we've got exciting players for a few years' time. We've been saying it for the last 20 years. But Bellingham looks like a world-class prospect, doesn't he? I don't know what you think, Nigel, about him.
He's going to be there for a few years now. But, I mean, you look at Henderson, he struggled getting the Liverpool side last year.
He did, yeah.
So, he's not going to be there in 2 years' time. Is he going to be at Liverpool?
No, probably
not. You've got to look at certain players in that squad now. That's probably their last major tournament.
And Kane as well.
Not that Southgate's still in charge.
Yeah, he said he's going to take time to think about his next move, and Southgate. I think he's going to, if he's going to stay or go. It's an hard one. Who comes in if he goes?
Pochettino.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, who comes in? The only thing that I listen to the pundits and everything else, and they're waffling on, quite funny about Southgate, and you got guys saying, "Oh yeah, he should get a top 6 job, managerial job," and I'm like, mate, he ain't proven in domestic football. He's actually been a failure, in domestic football. He never really shone at all. He's got into the England setup, and I would say it's a world of difference between running an international squad to running a domestic squad. I personally, I don't think Southgate will. I think if he quits, he'll quit and he'll disappear for a while. Whether he'll come back into football in management, I don't know. Would he get a top 6, top 10 job even? I'm not so sure. I mean,
No.
it's not proven his track record in domestic.
Remain with the FA at some sort of position.
Yeah, definitely FA job.
So he'll probably.
Yeah, you're right. I think he'll have some position in the FA, but
or United Nations, one of the two.
Yeah. And I mean, one of the things I'm pleased about is that England are out now. I have to take the bright side, and that is I ain't got to watch the BBC or ITV because that's been a real hard thing to do. Watching them, I can't stand them. Can't stand watching them at all, and now I don't have to. Way! And I did say I wouldn't watch World Cup, but once you put that green pitch and players, and to be fair, I haven't watched much. In all honesty, I've watched, but I've listened a lot on the radio while I've been working, you know. And there's been some proper change in the subject now, a little bit to the general World Cup now. So there's been some amazing games as well, haven't there? As well as some really big shocks. What's been the game of the tournament so far for you guys, Nigel?
Game of the tournament. Well, probably Brazil getting put out, I think. And no one was expecting that. So, yeah, it's great. I mean, it's a bit like the FA Cup this year, the World Cup. You're getting the minnows beating teams that are giants. And like say, Morocco, they're brilliant. They're in the semi-finals now, first time ever for an African club. So, yeah, it's been good. It's been a little bit like the FA Cup. You still couldn't say who's going to win it. I mean, for me, like it's all geared up now for the final Lionel Messi celebration, and he hasn't won the World Cup, and it's all set up for him now. I think it was out of him and Ronaldo, but it looks like he's going to get his World Cup wish. But like I said, the way the results are on, you just can't predict it, can you?
No.
So many underdogs and shocks.
Prize package. So same to you, Dan. What's your?
To be honest, though, I've like yourself, Gary. I've only watched the last 2 or 3 England games, and I've watched bits and pieces and others. But there's been, what was the game I watched? South Korea, Serbia was a good game. There's been some really good games. There's been some good football, and I think it has made a difference being in the winter with the players that more at their fitness peak. But it's just been a good World Cup, I would say. But I've not fully got. I've not really fully got into it yet, and then now we're out. So I never had the chance to fully engulf it. It's been a big spectacle, but I've not gone fully gung ho with it all. I must admit.
Yeah, and I guess for me, I must admit, I did watch the Netherlands-Argentina game. That was a cracker. Did you see the free kick?
No, was it last minute?
Oh, mate, what a free kick. Right. I mean, but is this not right? I'm not being funny, right? And I'm going to come back to England a little bit because I still think, fine margins, I completely agree. But there's something missing. There's something missing. Now, whether that's Southgate not making decisions or something, you know, when I look at what Holland did with the last kick of the game, it was truly magical. You must check it out. It's a truly magical moment in football, I think. When you consider it was the last kick of the game almost, that they did this amazing free kick. And that is the difference between, you know, I don't know, we had a similar scenario of a free kick.
Right at the end, wasn't it?
Right at the end, last kick of the game. Exactly the same as Dutch. The Dutch had the bollocks to do something really different. And it worked. All right, it may not have done, but it absolutely worked. It absolutely sublime. And we didn't. We just went for the typical normal, let's try and get free. All right, he came close. But is that the difference in the fight? Why we don't get beyond that fine line all the time? You know, do we not have the bollocks to do something a little bit different or a little? I mean, it was amazing. But that was my favourite game, by the way, that one so far.
It's a mentality, and like we've all said, England played well. We were lucky to go out, but and so I heard someone talk about earlier. If it was Man City or Liverpool in the Champions League and they lost to say equivalent, I don't know, a good side, but people would be going mad, wouldn't they? They'd be going, well, we shouldn't lose to them. And I think our mentality for England is different to.
It's very much an understrength French side, mate.
It was,
A very under strength.
No,
I mean,
Pogba.
they had 3 key players not playing through injury.
I think it's a mentality. I think it's the same players have got a great mentality for their club sides, but when it comes to England, I think Southgate has changed that a bit, though. Dude.
Yeah,
He has done some good work. I can't believe I'm saying it.
You know, like I say, when I see what the Dutch did that night, that would have been something special. Anyway, look, it is what it is. Let's just have a catch up with some of the people. Damo's saying championship for Southgate, I think is what he's saying.
Yeah.
Alex Langley, ITV been terrible. Dixon, all the women pundits. Oh, we shouldn't say that. Look, Carol won't be happy. Carol's a very strange results. Anyone's champions. Very open this year, isn't it? It really is. Just want to touch, guys, on Brazil now. Obviously, there's been a lot made of Roy Keane and Graham Souness. Having their dig about the samba dancing and all that. I'm going to be straight. Here's what I think with Brazil, and then I want your opinion. I think they were too damned arrogant, and that's what cost them their game. I think they weren't tracking back a lot of the players. I think they just thought they were going to breeze it through, and do their samba dance. I actually think they were too damned arrogant, and that's what cost them their game. They underestimated an extremely good Croatia. The Croatian midfield is probably the best midfield in the tournament.
Has been for many years. The Southgate
side, and I just think that. I mean, what's your feeling?
I think the culture, though, isn't it? The supporters, they like the carnival, and I think that's where the dancing after the goals come from.
Yeah. I do think the arrogance.
In Brazil, they expect them to win all the time, don't they? Sometimes, like you say, sometimes that expectancy and complacency might creep into the side, but it's. I think it's more a case of these teams that we used to call minnows. They're catching up now. They're getting coaches over there that have got the right experience and are putting the games into place, and they're not so far behind all the big teams.
Croatia ain't. They're not no mugs. Croatia. There was a World Cup finalist last time, weren't they? They're players like Modric. They got some good players, and they're not an aging squad. I think their average age was 27. I know they've got a couple of older players, but they're a good side.
Just changing the subject a little bit. Well, not the subject, but something we spoke about before the tournament started, and was the fact that players are going to get injuries over there, and I think Jesus is out for a few weeks now, isn't he? Looks like the Brazilian lad with Slawson, I think he's going to be out for a couple of weeks. So Mr. Haaland, sunbathing in Spain, he'll be happy, and Pep Guardiola will probably be the happiest person out because he'll have the best centre forward in the league coming back fresh now.
How's Kane going to react coming back from missing that penalty? And there's going to be some big. Well, most of the England players are going to come back a bit deflated.
Watford played today, a very boring 0-0 draw, and Sarr weren't even on the bench.
No,
really.
But is he back home yet? Has he actually come back?
I don't know.
I heard the manager do an interview before the match, and he said, I think the day before, and he's saying that they were expecting Sarr back. They give him a couple of days off to have with his family over there, but he was expecting him back, and he was expecting him to play. So I'm just wondering whether he actually.
I heard that. Yeah. I heard that. Yeah, I did hear that.
See, Burnley picked up where they left off.
I haven't seen the results today.
3-0 Burnley.
Oh, great result, at QPR. I'll tell you what, they're starting to open up a little bit of a gap.
Yeah.
Burnley, definitely. That's really interesting. Okay, so let's talk about. I have got a couple of bits. Actually, let's talk about this one. So one of the things that the World Cup has I think, has also shown up is that certain different things like the extra time being played, and which they seem to cut down everyone suspects that TV companies had the right pop at FIFA over it. And suddenly it all changed in mid-flight, and you weren't seeing the crazy amount of time going into the game. Although you were seeing a higher element. I mean, it was 8 minutes for the England game, I believe. But I'm just going to show you. Let's have a chat about the footballs. I didn't know. I really didn't know that these modern-day footballs have got sensors in them that feed back data. Football's becoming like fucking Space Invaders, isn't it?
It's for the offsides, isn't it? And the
They even was able to say no, Cristiano didn't touch the ball.
yeah, no, it's amazing, isn't it? It's just
It's just amazing. I just don't like it. I just, you know, maybe I'm a dinosaur, but football.
No, the players they wear stuff as well. The players that flags up for offsides. They've been trying it in the Champions League, I think, as well, and it gives you an instant. Whether it's instantly offside, it gives you.
Now, I just want to bring this picture up. Okay, so this was that offside. Sorry, you know, the ball in, ball out.
Mm. I never knew that rule. I didn't know. I never knew that rule. Did you?
No. I mean, I mean, it's a cigarette paper, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the circumference of the ball. Not, I mean, that's out in it in a normal game of football without all this technical bullshit. That's out, isn't it? That is out, and that led to the ball,
if the ball isn't touching it, I thought it was out, but it's the sphere, isn't it, that counts. It's just too complicated, isn't it?
I mean, yeah, but this is it. I mean, this is my gripe about it. This is becoming an elite sport. It was a working class sport. We know it's not anymore, but it is in certain areas. It is becoming an elite sport because they are setting a gap between football and elite football that is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And that is all down to this fucking technology. Sorry for swearing. But, you know, the thing here is, right, elite football is going to become like Space Invaders. Right? It is, mate. I mean, you know, VAR, technical gadgets in the football and all this. That ain't going to happen on a Sunday League pitch. That ain't going to happen at kids' football. That ain't going to happen in League 1, 2, probably in the Championship.
No.
Why? This is making a two-tier sport.
Yeah. And they still don't even get the decisions right, do they? With all this technology,
no.
They still don't.
But genuinely, my belief is we are seeing football become a two-tier sport because it's the same with goal line technology there. Mate, they're saying the EFL want to introduce it. The cost of that to these little clubs, they ain't got the money to pay for VAR.
No.
You know, they're bringing in all this stuff. It's just going to mean that you've got this elite game of football, which is more like Space Invaders with all the technology. And then you've got football that we love. And that is the controversy over a bad decision by the ref. You know, the ball hits the back of the net and the ref goes goal. It's a goal. Right? None of this waiting half an hour for a decision. That's football. That's what I fell in love with. I don't like elite football. I don't like the way
it hasn't got rid of the talking points of bad decisions with VAR, is it? So just keep goal line technology. That's black and white, isn't it? That's if it's over the line.
It's pretty straightforward. But
although you can't have that all through the leagues, can you?
Creating, you know, it's like all this about the heading of the ball, right? And all I hear is the concern. All right, maybe professional players head the ball a lot more. But, you know, you've got an elite group of 500 or 600 players in this country. But then you've got probably, I don't know, 500,000 other players in the country. They're not getting talked about. They're not getting no help. They you know, these elite players have got the most sophisticated medical.
Is it true in Scotland? They've banned it. They banned heading the ball the day before a game and the day after.
That's in Scotland.
In training in Scotland, isn't it? Is it true?
I do believe there's already. Look, I understand that there needs to be some control. The problem is you take heading away from football, then you may as well just play five-side, really, isn't it? You know, not overhead height, and I mean, it would destroy the game as we know it completely. Whether they have to do that or not, I don't know. But and if they do, they'll have their reasons. But
how are you going to take a corner then?
Sorry.
Yeah.
How are you going to take a corner if you can't head the ball?
Yeah, corners are irrelevant, aren't they? Really?
You'll never ever football will
It's just
never
going to be like,
come from it. I don't think it would never be the same. I mean, it's getting that way with all what we see anyway. But heading out again. But anyway, point being is I'm just saying. For me, it feels like you've got this two-tier sport: elite football, and that gap is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Because the more they bring the technology in, it can only be afforded to elite football. It can't be afforded to grassroots football, and then as they grow up through football, they'll have to be introduced to the new football way of life in the elite side. Anyway, back to the World Cup. I want to get your feeling. It's only right for us to discuss this, by the way, because we've all had our opinions about the whys and why nots of Qatar. We've been quite vocal about it. And now we've actually had the chance. Now, like I say, I've done a lot of listening to different people, to different interviews, and listening to what the fans have said out there and all that. What do you think now? Has your opinion changed from pre-World Cup, or you still feel the same?
No, it's the same. I've never had a problem with Qatar. It's been a problem with FIFA.
Yeah.
It's just there's no legacies going to be left there. All them stadiums, I think most of them are going to be taken down or want to be left, and it was just all for the wrong reasons. It's not going to grow football in that. It's a tiny little country. The Middle East should have a chance to hold a World Cup.
I was going to say, I think I've slightly changed my opinion on that point, and on the basis that I do think that the legacy is more about the region, not the country. So I do think there will be a legacy there. There's certainly the one stadium that's being ripped down. That's the one built of shipping containers.
Yeah,
amazing, really. Yeah. But I do think there is a bit of legacy there, but I think it's for the Middle East. I don't think it necessarily just for Qatar. I think Qatar will do something with football, but it won't be very special.
No, but they're going for the Olympics, aren't they, in 36, where it is? It's just another...
Well, the infrastructure and everything's amazing. I mean, it has been, I think, for the fans, a brilliant World Cup for them to be able to visit.
Not for the people who built it, though.
The next World Cup, I think the furthest one, there's 3,000 miles between stadium.
Yeah.
It ain't going to be the same, really, is it?
These stadiums are within like the distance of North London put together. It's tiny, but yeah, it's great. They're great stadiums. They're great on that, but it wasn't great for the people who died building them, were they? That's all the shit that went with it. But it all gets plastered over, doesn't it? And all.
See, I mean, my main gripe about the World Cup, Nigel will come on to your opinion in a minute, but my main gripe about the World Cup was FIFA. I just think they're the most corrupt.
Yeah.
And I don't like the World Cup because it's got the word FIFA at the beginning of it. The FIFA World Cup. I think they're horrible, corrupt, and no good to football at all. But I do think, I'm going to be honest now, I do think the media really proper laid into Qatar for years and proper. And John Barnes came out just recently in defence of all this. And actually, I've listened to so many different interviews and all sorts of stuff on social media, on mainstream media as well. And I do think that without a doubt, there's been a major improvement on working conditions, health and safety. They've set up a fund to pay out for claims and stuff like that. I think the World Cup has brought some change, and I think Qatar have made that effort to bring in a level of change. They will never accept LGBT. They're a Muslim country. They ain't a Muslim country. Tolerance, they will tolerate. They maybe could have better tolerance. They will never accept it. No Muslim country. So I don't think it's fair to beat Qatar up over that subject, because that is Muslim full stop.
That's their culture,
their religion, and even the Muslims in this country, they're dead against it. So let's not beat this country up over that. So I think I've had my opinions changed to a degree. I think I don't agree with how FIFA did it, and that should have personally that year should have gone to Australia, in my view. I think more deserving of it than Qatar. But Qatar put forward what they did. The other thing that I really found interesting is the decision to turn it into a Winter World Cup was FIFA. It was not Qatar.
Yeah, it was. You're right. Yeah.
What it was, and is that Qatar said they are very confident that they have the technology to create the stadium atmosphere not to be too hot, but it was unproven technology. So FIFA decided, no, we don't want this. We want to move it. So FIFA made that decision. I think Qatar have had yes, they needed to improve. They needed, there's issues there. But I think they also got a really bit of bad press as well. And hopefully the legacy will be is that there appears to be a much better working environment for people in that country than what there was. There's improvements to health and safety. Again, on the LGBT front, yes, maybe they could be more tolerant, but they'll never accept it. And that ain't just them. So
it'll go back to where it was once this World Cup's finished. I'm sure these workers' rights will be.
I don't know, because they're what they're really trying to do. They're trying to become a product that Qatar. So they're going to want big boxing matches. They're going to want the Olympics. So it will carry on. I really do think it will, and they will improve because they don't want that again. That bad press that they've had. I think some of it exaggerated. From what you can gather, but I think that legacy will carry on the basis that they want more, and the only way they're going to get more is to be more in tune with what people want to see in a country. So I think hopefully you'll see better tolerance with LGBT, not acceptance. You're never going to get it. Tolerance. I think the working conditions will definitely have improved and will continue to do so. Purely because they're trying to sell their product, which is Qatar.
Yeah, which is the whole thing that pisses me wrong about it all, is they're selling. It's an advertising campaign, and they've got billions and trillions of pounds to advertise their country because they're all a rich country. That's what's so wrong about it. Wales is a bigger country than Qatar. Why haven't they got a World Cup and then the Olympics in 20 years' time? It's because Qatar are just selling their. It's an advertising campaign, isn't it? And I blame FIFA for letting them do it, but FIFA are just all about the sheets,
you can't blame Qatar.
No, I don't.
If we had the money in this country they've got, I'm sure we'd have had every World Cup since.
Good. But Qatar half own London anyway, didn't they? They own the Shard. They own half the stuff here.
If the problem is like with anything, if you allow people to do it, they will do it. If they've got the money to do it and they're allowed to do it, they'll do it. So it's got to be the governing bodies that have got to be able to account. And in this case, FIFA, 100%.
Yeah.
So
is it Denmark of one of the big teams of
Olympics? Let's see how they get on with that.
If one of the teams said that they want to leave Qatar, sorry, that was England. No, it was one of the teams said they want to leave FIFA. They're looking into it. I think it was Denmark or Germany. They're looking at leaving FIFA, the organisation, and hopefully that will get the ball rolling with everyone else doing it. Until someone does it.
Nigel, sorry, mate, you've been left out of that conversation a bit. What's your opinion on the general Qatari World Cup? Has any opinions changed, or are you still?
I tend to agree with Dan about. I think it'll just go back to normal now once the World Cup's over, and then they try and get another big event there. It'll all go back to the same topics as we had on this one. But I said before the World Cup started, I'm a football supporter. I concentrated on the matches, and I enjoyed the matches. And I thought the games were well organised, the stadiums were. So I can't fault Qatar on that. And I said I've enjoyed the football. And that for me, that everyone's forgetting about the fact is this is a football tournament. It ain't about politics. It ain't advertising. It's a football tournament. And for football supporters, they want to enjoy good football. That's all that matters to most supporters. They don't want. You don't want to get involved in all this gay stuff and LGBT or whatever. You're going there as a footballer, whether you're gay or whether you're straight. You're going there as a supporter, and I think that's how it should have been left. But There's been too much outside of the football said about
Yeah,
it.
people jump to this further their agendas. Was that? But that's what's happening in football in general. People are using football to further different agendas, and that's.
I see the Moroccans had a Palestinian flag up after they won their game, like displaying it. And we're not going down that route because that's a very big subject, but that's political as well, isn't it? It shouldn't be allowed. Shouldn't be allowed.
No, I totally agree. So, bear with me. Right.
I'll tell you what, if you had an award for the best crying supporters, the Japanese, they're brilliant, aren't they? Facial expressions when they're crying.
You know what?
They're good cleaners and all.
I genuinely didn't really get to watch that much on TV, but I listened to a lot on the radio, and I just wish I'd have watched one of the Japan games because I've heard the fans are brilliant.
Yeah.
Oh, they cry when they score and they cry when they lose.
I wish I'd have seen that.
Did you see the video of them picking up all the litter going around after the
game?
Yeah,
brilliant.
But someone did it in reverse, done a good bit of editing and played it backwards, and he went, "These pesky Japanese fans, they're going hiding litter everywhere." So you can see him just placing and hiding it all behind the seats, but it was in reverse.
Right, I'm going to do a bit of a football funny. It might be a bit controversial, but let's just say football funny. It's a funny old game. Funny old game it is too. Right, okay. I'm going to play. Right, now, I know this, people may have already seen this, and it is knocking this pundit, but I'm just going to say this because I know Mr. Ian Wright has jumped to her defence. When you're paid multi amount of pounds to sit and be a football pundit, and you screw it up and you get it wrong, you're going to be held to account, and you're going to get it rinsed. You're going to get rinsed, and it doesn't matter whether you're Ian Wright, Alan Shearer. In this case, it is a lady pundit. You're going to get rinsed. So I'm going to play it because I think it's hilarious. And, you know, at the end of the day, you're happy to take the money and be on the telly. When you get it wrong, people are going to have a bit of a giggle about it. So let's have a giggle. It goes a little bit like this.
Slawson then, because he's not always in the Tottenham first team, is he? When they're all fit up there, he's probably the fourth man, you know, the odd one out of the other three. But when it comes to this championship, he's had a real impact so far.
He really has. He's the top scorer for Brazil over the last 2 years. You know, he's got a great record, 19 goals in 40 appearances. You know, do the math on that. It's one goal a game, pretty much.
Listen, look, like I say, people might think I'm out of order playing that and rinsing her, but hey, at the end of the day, she's paid money to be a pundit. Get it wrong at that level. The words were do the maths, telling you to do the maths. Yeah, 19 goals in 40 games. That's a goal.
She's got to laugh it off and come out on Twitter.
And if you're going to be a presenter on the telly, just like we are on the radio, on these shows we do here, if we get it wrong, I expect someone to have a laugh about it.
Yeah, I get it wrong every day on proper football radio.
All the time, and I laugh at myself, and other people laugh at me as well. And I'm laughing at you, young lady. That was funny. I hope you go and do some maths, my dear. Say again, mate. I didn't hear that, mate. Say it again.
I said, has Danny ever ended up at the wrong train station?
No, but I forgot to stop at Vauxhall twice.
Really? Yeah. Well, you just shot straight through.
Straight through, yeah.
That deserves someone to get proper pissed off.
Twice, not just once. It's easy done, though. Anyway. If anyone from Southwest Rangers looking in, honestly, it happens. Human error.
Okay, so we're going back to the World Cup. Sorry, go on, Nigel.
There was a lot of players around referees on a full-time whistle that couldn't accept the controversial decisions. Uruguay, I thought they were going to attack the referee at the end of that game. Yeah. But nothing was said of it. You know, like no teams have been punished for it, and you know that was over here. Players would be getting suspensions, and I just thought it's strange that they let the teams get away with that. Some of the referee decisions have been really bad. But you can't do that at the end of the match.
No, there's a couple of it games, isn't there? Was it? Who was the other team who done it against England? Wasn't it the Portuguese?
The Uruguay game was the one where the players looked like they were actually going to have a go at the ref, and the South American leagues there's been incidences where the crowd would come on and tried to batter the referees and stuff, even the players. So
he's had to run out the ground, didn't he? Who was the English ref who got a lot of abuse from them? He was a Portuguese coach, but I think he's a coach of South Korea when he didn't let him take a corner at the end of the game because time was up.
That's it, yeah.
But I was interested. Harry Maguire got booked last night. It was the first booking we had in the whole tournament for England.
Is that?
But only had one booking in the whole tournament, and that was Harry Maguire last night. We've not been that aggressive, have we? The booking wise, to have one booking in 5 games is pretty good going, isn't it? Whether it's a good thing or not, I don't know. But...
Sorry, yeah,
So it wasn't exciting.
Your camera's still pissed and all. Nigel, now we've got 10 minutes left. Now we're going to talk about what's left in the World Cup in a minute. Did you have a story lined up or not?
Not really a story.
Hang on. It's good enough, whatever it is, mate, from you. Here we go. It's the good old days with Mr. Nigel Callaghan. Go on, son.
Yeah, good old days. No, I was looking at me sort of chat with Callie stories, and but one of the questions I used to let people ask me questions, and one of the questions that came up was it awkward playing against Watford after you'd moved to Derby? Going back to the team that you started off with, and it's something you don't hear a lot of players talk about, to be honest. But yeah, it was really weird because when you're playing for Watford and you're in the home team, you're sort of way into the ground's different. Once you get there with your away coach, you're in the official entrance, and I nearly went into the home dressing room instead of the away one. And then I came on, and I was up against Nigel Gibbs, which was another strange one because I was playing on the left wing at Derby, where I was playing on the right wing at Watford. So I was up against Pricey, but I had a good game, and I got a free kick on the edge of the box, and I was sort of half joking with Tony Callaghan. I was pointing to the corner I was going to put it in, and it went top corner. So again, though, but you sort of, it was a great goal, and you sort of want to really celebrate it. But again, you respect to the Watford fans that you sort of don't go mad too much, because I got a good reception off the Watford fans. So it is really weird, it's an emotional game, football. When you score, you want to run a mile and shout, hands in the air and everything. But sometimes the occasion sort of makes you react a different way. But it's something you don't talk about a lot. But it was a strange one. But we ended up drawing 1-1, so it's probably the perfect result.
Did you score against Watford then?
Yeah, I got a free kick, top corner. You can see me on the video. You can actually see me pointing like towards the top corner. But yeah, I mean, it was 1-1, and like I said, I was quite happy at 1-1. That was a good result. Kept everyone happy.
Yeah.
Was it a Swiss player in the World Cup? Or he scored against Cameroon, his home nation team, didn't he?
Yeah.
And he didn't celebrate, did he?
He didn't celebrate.
That's the first in an international game, not celebrating against your home nation.
It's hard because your emotions when you score.
Yeah.
It's like having a shot of adrenaline. So it is hard to sort of reel it back a little bit.
Yeah. I don't know what I would do. Not this is ever going to happen for me. You talking about going in the wrong change room? Did Ron Atkinson go in the wrong dugout once when he signed with? Who did he become manager of? And he walked down and sat in the. He sat in the wrong dugout. It weren't until he looked round. He didn't recognise him. And he realised he was in the home team dugout. He had to get out and walk next door. Ron don't hear of him anymore, do you?
When I was at Villa, I'm probably one of the only players who have done this, but I played for all 3 of my teams in one season. I went out to loan at Derby for 3 months. I came back to Villa for a bit. Then I went on loan to Watford for a month, I think, or something like that. So the 3 teams that I've actually played for in my professional career, I ended up playing for all 3 in one season.
Really?
Wow.
There can't be many players that can say that.
Yeah. So who did you go on loan to Watford from, Nigel? Was that from Villa?
Yeah. I had 3 months at Derby first. Played really well for Derby, and had to come back. And then I weren't getting into Villa's side because of a certain Ryan Atkinson. So Watford came in and asked if I'd go on loan there for a month. Yeah, all 3 teams in one season.
Wow.
Good trivia question.
Yeah. Another good one from I come across that stumbles everyone is when they ask about players that have got hat tricks for England, and the one they never get is Luther Blissett.
Yeah.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah, they never get Luther. Yeah. But right, okay, look, we've got a couple of minutes left, so I just want to finish off with the World Cup now. So I want what your thoughts, Nigel, first on the semi-finals, and who do you think's going to win the World Cup?
Well, the fairy tale story would be for Morocco to win it, and I don't think there'd be any support apart from the other teams that left in it that would begrudge from that. But I can't see France losing to Morocco. I think they'll be in the final. Argentina, Netherlands. If Argentina get through to the finals, I can see him winning it because I just think, it's the only thing that Messi's not won in his career. And I think that'll be the last World Cup he plays in. I think it'll happen for him. That's the way football tends to be. It sort of like creates the stories and fairy tales. It's going to be a close one between Netherlands and Argentina. It'd be close with Morocco and France, but I think France have got the players there to get them through. And I'd have fancied England against Morocco. So I think that at the moment they've just got the edge.
Yeah, agreed. Dan, same over to you.
I think Croatia are going to beat Argentina. I think Brazil were a better side than Argentina, and Croatia kept them at bay. And then mugs Croatia. So I think it'll be Croatia-France final of the same regions as Nigel. Morocco have been great, been brilliant against Portugal, but France got too much. So France-Croatia, France. I think France are going to win it. So at least we can say we was beaten by the winners.
Right, before I give my opinion, let me just see what other people might have said. Did you see the Harry Kane, Johnny Wilkinson video? Very good, yeah. I've seen. Have you seen it? Where they,
put it on the page. Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Tempting fate, isn't it?
Yeah. The Argentinians taunting the Dutch the other night as well. Not nice to see. Yeah, that was a really. I said about that was mate. That game was full of everything. Amazing goals, and it was so volatile. That game really got nasty. I mean, that ref lost control of the game at one point. I thought it was like a riot. Did you see it? The game?
I didn't see it.
Oh,
I was working.
One of the Argentinian, there'd been a foul, bit naughty, and one of the Argentinian players then kicked the ball directly into the Netherlands dugout.
No,
just went mental. Just went mental.
They are quite spicy, the old South Americans, aren't
they? I'm not so sure about the Croatia-Argentina game. I'm not so sure, only on the basis that I don't think Argentina have got the arrogance of the Brazilians. And that's what I think cost Brazil the game, as well as the fact that Croatia are a great side. Could Croatia get to? I mean, that would just be another repeat, wouldn't it? Of last.
I don't think it's a great side. I think they're a good side. I don't think anybody would call Croatia a great side, but they're a good side.
They're a good side, yeah. They're not great. They're good, yeah.
They're not the first team that comes to your mind when you go say who's going to win the World Cup.
I do think they're underestimated. That's the problem. I think it's the midfield, isn't it? They got cracking midfield.
Do you think they finals 4 years ago, weren't they?
It was France then.
Yeah, it was.
I personally think it will be France, Argentina. I think Argentina are going to win the World Cup. That's my opinion. We'll see. We'll know next week.
Yeah,
We'll
next
know
Sunday,
next
isn't
week,
it?
won't
3
we?
o'clock.
And that is it. We're up. We're finished with time over. So, yeah, next week we'll know. Join us next week after the World Cup final. Had it been England, we probably would have postponed it till on a Monday. But Nigel, been brilliant having us back on live again.
Before you go, guys,
We're back
I've got
next week.
our friend Greg, right? He'll be gutted because he's actually bought tickets for both semi-finals and the final, and he's just flown out to Qatar today. So
I see.
he's going to have a good time, but he'll be gutted that England aren't there.
Yeah.
Line.
That's devastating, isn't it?
Wow. Everyone, thank you for listening in. Thank you to everyone who might have been listening on the radio as well this week. We will catch you all again next week. Goodbye for now.
I'll be on Mitch.